Hello everyone, today we're going to be looking at a box on TryHackMe called Committed. Difficulty easy, but it's a great lesson because this stuff really does happen quite often in the real world. So let's dive in. First thing I like to do is start that machine because it does take a minute. And then while it's doing that, we can get acquainted with the content. It says, oh no, not again. One of our developers accidentally committed some sensitive code to our repo. The problem is we don't remember what or where. Can you track it down? So that is our classic needle in a haystack setup, right? And the other little hint here is the files you need are located in this directory on our Ubuntu machine, which is busy spinning up at the moment. So that's kind of a big hint. It's really narrowing down the scope of work here. And of course, all we're left with is the mission, the flag file, which starts with four of something, and then the funny brackets, right? So that's all we know. Okay, so we have an IP now. And let's see if our machine is up yet. It's not. So let's do a couple more things while we're waiting. Okay. Now there's two ways to go at TryHackMe. You can use your own machine, which is something I prefer, or you can use theirs, which strong arguments for both, because while it's a strange machine to you, in the real world, we're not always going to have the comfort of using just our own machine. We're going to have to get fluent with stepping into a brand new machine, maybe something we just created, like a VM, or a work computer. So it's nice to just get comfortable in a strange environment and being able to manage that efficiently. But today we'll focus on working from home with it over the Open VPN. Okay? So what I like to do first is let's get connected, okay, to the Open VPN. And I've already got this set up on my machine. You just have to download it once. There's a TryHackMe tutorial on this whole thing, but once you set it up, it's just that easy. Typing in one command and you're on. Now, there's a lot of output here. Good to know some of it for troubleshooting, but one thing you should always really know where to look, and that is, where's my IP that I just got assigned? And that's right here in the Tune 4 setting. In my case, this is a macOS M1 machine. Yours will probably be different, N0 or F0, or even Tune 0, but it's usually in the last 8 to 10 lines here. You'll find this, and this is what we need for reverse shells, file sharing, etc. You need to know this. Okay, so before I forget, the other place to look, if that isn't intuitive, is what I call Quad 10. This is a nice handy go-to that TryHackMe provides to verify that you're on, like if you're having troubleshooting issues with your connection. So this shows, hey, we're connected, you're verified, and there again is that IP that you're assigned to on your OpenVPN. So I hope that's helpful. Good places when things aren't always going to plan. Okay? So, and look, our Ubuntu machine is up and running, and they were nice enough to just put this right in our face. Committed.zip is apparently what we'll be using today. Okay, so first things first, I like to see what I have access to a little bit. So, do I have internet access now? Quad 8 is Google's primary DNS server, and that, if I can connect to that, that pretty much means I have internet access on that machine. Now, it's not looking good, which is fine. There's other ways to skin a cat, but that's a good thing to just know, because I may want to use tools from, maybe I have a dedicated AWS server. I can pull tools down. I'm not going to be able to do that here this way. Obviously, you could also go into the browser and check that as well. But I'm in the command line. Here we go. Now, all's not lost. The really important thing is can I get files off this machine to my machine? So what I want to do is ping back to my machine, right? So I think I still have that on the clipboard. Let's just double check. Now, if you haven't gone this route before, this is how you copy and paste on these machines, right? Got this little slide out dealio, okay? Which is a little bit inconvenient, right? And this thing just slides back in out of your way too. But what a relief, our connection is working. So where are we at? We're not quite deep enough in that directory for that zip file. Now we are. Okay, so my go-to favorite way to file share, especially on Linux, all modern Linux seem to come bone stock with this now, is Python, the HTTP server. It runs by default on port 8000. Of course, you can put any port number you want in the range that you require. But we'll just leave it here. This is good enough for today, for our purposes. Okay, now let's go do the other half. Okay, first things first, I like to make a working directory for every room I make, and it just keeps things neat and tidy. You don't want files scattered everywhere, right? We're set up, and let us grab that file. So the way we do that, remember this is our target, okay? We use wget. We're using 8000, right? Remember that's our port. And spell it the way they did, very important. And there we go, just like that, we got the file. So let's unzip it. And we're unzipped. What do we got? Let's go in there, find out. And we have what you typically see when you do like a git clone. And the git is the crown jewels. We know it's going to be in there somewhere. Let's take a look. If you're not familiar with what is in a .git, it's pretty much the entire repo. And it's a lot. There's like 416 files and a bunch of directories. Now, if you don't know this, all the commits and the code is stored in objects. Objects are also compressed, but let's just take a look. See what we're going to show us into here. Okay, great. We have more directories. So if we just pull one of these up, let's see what that looks like. And we get this alphanumeric. Okay, well, let's take a look. What's in that alphanumeric file? And it's just gibberish because it's compressed. We're not going to be able to read this. It's not in the form we can use right now, which brings me to one of my favorite tools for this, okay, called Git Tools. So that is easy to download on the interwebs, so that's what we'll do. I'll show you how to grab that real quick. And hopefully it pops up. There it is. I always see the German Interwasch. Okay, and the reason we see it in German is because of this lovely gentleman, Sebastian Neef. Thank you. Hats off to you. Fine German. We've got, inside this tool, we've got dumper, extractor, and finder, all bash scripts that do things that are very specific to the task at hand. And he does a nice job of documenting it. And this extractor, it's a bash script to extract commits. Sounds good. And their content. Okay, so that's exactly what we want to turn that gobbledygook we just saw into something readable that we can search. Okay, and it's commit objects. That's the other key here. I think we have the right tool for the job. So for those of you that don't know, easiest way to grab all this to your machine is drop down menu on this green button, and it's called get clone. So you see you get confirmation by clicking this, and now use the get clone command, paste, and it does the rest. Okay, so now we have a new directory, get tools. Let's see what's in there. We have all our tools, everything, right? Because we just cloned it. Okay, now let's look what's inside that extractor. There's our file. So a nice little trick I like to use, just ease of working with files so I don't have to type absolute paths all day, is I will take note of the present working directory with the PRD command. I'll move up to the top level, okay, because this is where our committed file, that's where we want all the work done to. And now I'm just going to copy, okay, that entire extractor directory right to here. And in this case, there's just one file. So confirm it, and there's our extractor sh file. And now let's just do this without arguments because I don't remember the syntax. This is something that's also a nice thing to do. Just run and do this in Python or most tools. The authors are kind enough to give us a usage line here to remind us what it's looking for in the syntax. So let's just do what they want. Our Git directory, which is committed, and then point it to another directory of our choosing, which I'm just going to call extract, and there it did the work. So let's go look at extract for a minute, and we have this. And what is this? Now, we know they're extracted, but they're still, what is this? If you're not familiar, each commit gets assigned this alphanumeric ID tag, and it has all the revision metadata, including who last touched it, when, differences in code, and exactly what were the changes. Okay, and this, you can see this is a handy tool to keep a team of developers on track and moving forward, and the synergy, right, of having great minds working together. Great way to work together and track a project, which is why it's so popular. Now, this is one way to skin this cat. Yeah, I can literally just cat these files, right, or directories, I should say, and spit them out, and boom, now I've got readable code. Okay, that's great, but imagine going through each one of these this way. It's gonna take a while, right? Imagine if it was 100 files or 1,000. Not the best way to do this. Let's take a look at what we found, though. So we have an author, and we have his email address. But the thing that stands out to me, because remember we're credential hunting, I say username, password. Now in this case, it's left blank, which is good. And there's another location. Okay. So this looks good, right? Now rinse and repeat, right? Or let me show you another way to do this that is a lot more efficient. So big R for recursive, I for ignore case, and then what are we looking for? Well, I know TryHackMe, these flags are either start with TryHackMe or flag. And we got a clue from the room, but I don't always trust the asterisk because sometimes they're off, not always. But I know my flag is going to start with either THM or flag, most likely flag in this case. Okay. So just briefly, the syntax here for grep, and it's in the man pages, but the capital R is recursive, which you always use on directories because it'll go through each file. Then exactly what you want to be looking at, and so all lines that start with THM or flag, and the backslash pipe is just a way of escaping the pipe because it's a special character, and piping is just kind of like either or. So it's like the or command. So either THM or flag. Okay, and then this is the target directory, so we don't have it grepping our entire hard drive. And boom, that was easy, right? I mean, it really cut our workload down pretty quickly. So great, we have our flag. So let's talk about the lessons of the room for a minute. Now we know that this is a very commonplace thing. Developer teams do this quite a bit. And of course, you understand the convenience of it, right? Especially when they're troubleshooting code that needs to be bugged. The last thing anyone wants to do is slow down and type their credentials in for each and every test, which is why they hard code. And of course, their thought process is, number one, they're working among the team. It's not live, quote unquote. So they all trust each other. And it hasn't been released yet. However, what they forget is it's still on the internet, right? So there is an attack surface here. And they also figure, okay, when we're done, the last step will be to go in and clean up these files. But inevitably, that step, people just get busy. They forget to do that housekeeping. So then it gets released with hard-coded credentials, right? All it takes is one file. So you understand the mindset. Now let's talk remediation. Of course, you'd want to tread softly when you communicate this, but your proof of concept obviously would already have people, you'd have their attention, okay? Because you were able to show this, right? Somehow you got a foothold and you just spit out username, password. So it's pretty obvious there's an issue here. Now, no one likes just problems without solutions. So the solutions would be, don't do this. Do not store your hard code creds in the code, even in production. Now, of course, you're going to get a lot of groans and moans because no one wants to go through production like that. There are alternatives. It's beyond the scope of this lesson, but suffice to say, there are ways around this that still automate the process. And the real high-level view of the way to do this would be to have another location that these sensitive credentials are stored in, another server, and your code would just call to the server. So now there's that extra layer of protection. Okay, so that's the remediation. And of course, the other awesome thing about this room is it introduces you to a new tool. And if you go back, you'll see that there's other rooms that are related to this, and I bet you that same tool will probably help you solve these riddles as well. So I hope you learned something today. I'm always available and open for questions, and I'll see you in the forums. Happy hacking.